Good morning everyone. Today let's move on to a new chapter in science, chapter 9, water and its uses. So you all know what water is and why water is important for us, right? So all living things need water. We have already learned what are living things. So what are living things? The things that move, grow, breathe and so on, we call them as living things. So we humans are living things. Plants and animals are also living things. So all living things need water to live. We also need water to live, right? So today let's learn more about water and its uses. What all do we use water for? In the morning when you wake up, you wash your face. And for washing your face, you need water, right? So, for drinking, when you feel thirsty, you drink water, right? So, it's very important to drink water. You have to drink at least 6 to 8 glasses of water. And also, for bathing, we need water. And for brushing our teeth, also we require water. For washing clothes, how do we wash clothes? We need water to wash clothes. And also, for cooking, we need water. And for washing utensils, we require water. For cleaning home, to build houses and to put out fire also, we need water. To clean your homes, how do you clean? You need water to clean your homes, right? And for building houses, we need water. And when there is fire in some places, you can see fire engines using water to put out fire. So these are the different uses of water. So what all do we use water for? For brushing, bathing, cooking, washing clothes, to put out fire and so on. So water is very important in our lives. Plants and animals also need water. Animals also require water for living. And what about plants? Plants need water. We have to water the plants every day. Only then plants will be able to grow, right? So plants and animals also need water to live. Now look at a sea. You can see the sea water is filled with water, right? Do you know what is the taste of sea water? It is very salty. So do you think that it is good for bathing, cooking or washing clothes? No. Why? Because it is salty, we cannot use salt water for these uses. Now next, let's learn about the sources of water. So what do you mean by sources of water? From where we get water. Have you ever observed from where you get water from? So let's learn some of the sources of water. Rainwater is the major source of water. So when it rains, you can see the rivers and streets all filled with water, right? So rainwater is the major source of water. And also we get water from rivers, wells, ponds and lakes. So these all are the sources of water. So what all are the different sources of water? Rain, rivers, lakes, ponds and wells. So from here we get water for different uses. And do you know what a well is? A well is a deep hole dug in the ground and from there you get water. So that is a well. Now let's learn about a dam. When it rains, the rivers are filled with water and this river water flows into the seas. So when a dam is built across a river, we are able to store the water there. So here you can see the dam. This is a dam and here you can see the river, right? So when a wall is built across the river stops flowing. And what happens? The river water can be stored there. So what is a dam? A dam is a wall built across the river to stop the flowing of the water. And we are able to store the water. And this water we'll be able to use for different uses like cooking, washing and so on. So we learned what a dam is. What a dam? Dam is a wall built across a river to stop the flowing of river. And that water can be stored and can be used for different purposes. Now in your textbook, page number 72, you can see a picture. So open your text and turn to page number 72. So let's see how the river water reaches the taps in our homes. So there are several steps. Let's see the steps. In the first step, you can see the water we use is mostly from a river or a dam. So the water that we use is mostly from a river or a dam. And what is a dam? A dam is a wall built across a river to stop the flowing of the river into the sea. So this water we can use for cooking, growing crops, etc. So the water that we use, we get mostly from rivers or dams. Now see, from the rivers or the dams, a pipe is connected. So from the dams, they are connected to a large tank. So that is the second step. So see, in the first step, the water that we use, it is seen in the river or in the dams. And from there, a pipe is connected, and here water is collected in large tanks. So you can see here, water is collected in large tanks. So from the river, a pipe is connected and it reaches large tanks. From there again, a pipe is connected. So you can see, again a pipe is connected, and in between you can see dirt and germs are removed from the water. So what happens? The water from the river reaches the large tanks, and from there again it is coming to other tanks. But before it reaches the other tanks, the dirt and germs are removed from the water. That is, the water is purified. It is being filtered. So in the water there will be different dirt and germs, right? So can we use it for drinking? No. So the clean water is stored in tanks. So you can see in the fourth step, the water reaches tanks again. Now it is clean water. Why? Because the dirt and germs are removed from the water. And again you can see from this tank, a pipe is fitted, and here you can see water is tested. If it is pure, it is sent to tanks in different areas. Again, the water is tested here if it is pure. Before, in the third step, we saw from the water, dirt and germs are removed. And again, it's being tested if the water is pure. So if once it is pure, that is sent to different tanks in different areas. So here, you can see the water is sent to different tanks. In the sixth step, you can see water is stored in separate tanks. So again, water is stored in separate tanks, and from there, water from each tank is supplied to every building in the area. From there, it reaches each houses. So this is how water reaches from the river to the taps of the houses. So you can also observe how water reaches your taps in your homes. Now we learned about how water reaches from the river to the taps. So it is very important to keep the water clean, right? But have you noticed throwing garbage in the river? Is it clean or unclean? By doing so, the water becomes unclean. And is it good for drinking? No. So we should not dispose any kinds of garbage in the rivers. And also, some factories let wastewater flow into rivers. This also makes the water polluted. So throwing garbage and letting wastewater flow into the river makes the water dirty and unclean. So it is not good for different uses. So we should not do such things because the water gets unclean. Now there are different ways to keep the water clean. How can we keep the water clean that we have to use? You can see, store drinking water in a clean vessel. We should always store the drinking water in a clean vessel. The vessel should be clean that we are storing water. Cover the vessel and keep it in a clean place. And we have to cover the vessel and keep it in a clean place. Keep the place from where you get water clean, and it is also important that we have to clean the place from where you get water. So these are the different ways to keep water clean. Now let's learn about water cycle. How we get water. It is a cyclic process. So let's see how it happens. The first picture, you can see evaporation. Due to the heat of the sun, the water turns into water vapor. So have you ever seen water vapor? Have you seen when the water boils or milk boils, the vapor rising up? In the same way, due to the heat of the sun, the water from the rivers, seas turns into water vapor and it rises up. So how evaporation happens? Due to the heat of the sun, the water, that is the liquid, turns into water vapor. And you can see the water rising up, and how it rises in the form of water vapor. And this process is called evaporation. In the second step, you can see the water that is turned into water vapor rises up into the sky, and here it forms as clouds. So you can see the water rising up and that water droplets forms into clouds. That process is called condensation. So the first process was evaporation and the next process is condensation. And when this water droplets rises up and forms the clouds becomes heavy. They are not able to hold any more water. So what happens? It falls down as rain. So that process is called precipitation. So first it was evaporation. In evaporation, due to the heat of the sun, the water vapor rises up and then it forms into clouds. That process is called condensation. And next, when the clouds are so heavy and it is not able to hold any more water, it falls down as rain, and that process is called precipitation. And when it rains, what happens? The rivers all gets filled up with water again, and that process is called collection. So there are 4 steps for the water cycle. What was it? Evaporation, condensation, precipitation and collection. And once the water is collected in the rivers, what happens? Again, due to the heat of the sun, evaporation happens, and when the water rises up, condensation happens, and when the clouds are so heavy, it comes down as water, falls down as rain, and this process is called precipitation. And once when the water falls, it is being collected again in the rivers. So we can say that this is a cyclic process. That is why it's called a water cycle. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation and collection are the 4 stages in the water cycle. So hope you understood what a water cycle is. So in this chapter, we learnt about water and the different uses of water and how water reaches the taps in our homes. Read the chapter 2 times and let's move on to exercises part. You can open your textbook and turn to page number 73. First, we have the life skills. Discuss why we must use water carefully. Repair leaking taps at once. Why should we use water carefully? Water is very precious. We need water for many purposes, right? And where do we get this water from? We either get from rivers, wells, ponds or lakes. So it is very important that we use water carefully, or else what happens? Water becomes scarce. And the next thing, repair leaking taps at once. What happens when the taps leak? The water keeps on flowing, and by doing so, we are wasting the water. So is it good? No, we should not waste water. We have to save water. So when you see leaking taps, it's important that we repair the leaking taps. Next, let's move on to our keywords. In the keywords, some words are given. Let's see what it is. The first is dam. So what is a dam? A wall built across a river to store water. Next is a well. What is a well? It's a deep hole that is dug in the ground to draw water. So what is a well? It's a deep hole that is dug in the ground, and from there we draw water. Next is a lake. A vast area filled with water. So what is a lake? Lake is a vast area that is filled with water. Next we have the pond. What is a pond? A small area filled with rainwater. So lake is a vast area filled with water and pond is a small area filled with rainwater. Next, let's move on to remember. So here you can see river, dam, lake, well. So how water reaches our taps? Water reaches either from river or from dams, from lakes and from wells. And once it reaches our taps, we have different uses for water. What are they? We can use water for drinking, cooking, washing clothes, washing utensils, for bathing, for growing plants and to build homes. So these are the different uses of water. Now let's move on to exercises, page number 74. In this you can see, fill the circle using a pencil if the statement is true. So you have to fill the circle using a pencil if the statement is true. So let's look at the sentences. The first sentence, only animals that live in rivers need water. So is that sentence true? Second, plants need water to grow. Third one, we must drink clean water. And the fourth, rivers flow into seas. So just go through the questions, and if you feel the statement is correct, you can fill the circles. Pause the video and do this exercise, and once you have done, you can come back. Hope you have done it. Now let's check the answers. Look at the first sentence. Only animals that live in rivers need water. So is that sentence correct? No. Animals need water. Not only animals that live in river, all animals need water. So that sentence is not correct. Now let's look at the second question. Plants need water to grow. Yes, plants need water to grow. So that statement is correct. So you can fill that circle. Let's look at the third question. We must drink clean water. Yes, we have to drink clean water. So that statement is correct. So you can fill that circle also. Fourth question, rivers flow into seas. Yes, rivers flow into seas, and that statement is also correct. So you can fill that circle. Let's move on to a second question. With the help of the drawings, complete the following passage. So you can see a passage is given and some drawings are given. So with the help of these drawings, we have to fill this passage. Let's look at that. We get dash. Here you can see a picture, and the picture of water is given. So what we have to write here? We get water in the dash. So here the picture of a tap is given. So here you can write tap. We get water in the tap from a river, and look here the picture of a well is given. So you can write here well or a dam. We use again the picture of water. So again you can write here water. We use water to, what is this? Drinking, right? So we use water to drink, bathe, cook and grow plants. We need clean water to drink. We must store water in a clean vessel and keep it covered. Here you can fill the words that are missing here. Let's move on to a next exercise. Here you can see rearrange the given letters to form words related to water. So here some words are given. They are jumbled up. We have to find out the correct word, and these words are related to water. So let's see. The first one is rain. So here in the space provided, you can write rain, R-A-I-N. Look at the second one, it is river. So write there R-I-V-E-R. Third one, it is well. So you have to write there W-E-L-L. Fourth one, it is lakes, L-A-K-E-S. Fifth one, it is sea, S-E-A. And the sixth one, it is dam, D-A-M. So hope you have completed. Let's move on to our next exercise. Answer the following questions. The first question, from where do we get water in our homes? So how do you get water in your homes? You can write it over there in the space provided. And look at the second question. List any 4 uses of water. So we have learned different uses of water. From that you can write any 4 uses of water. Moving on to a next page. Page number 75. We have there high order thinking skills. So here a diagram is given. So look at that picture carefully. The question is, study the diagram and answer the questions orally. So here in this picture, what you can see? You can see land, rivers, hills, clouds and rain. So what do you understand from this picture? We learnt evaporation, right? So when the water rises up, forms clouds and it falls down as rain, and this process is called precipitation. And once it falls down, what happens? The water is again collected in rivers, right? So this we learnt in the water cycle. So here you can see when it rains, the clouds bring rain, and when it rains, what happens? From the hills, the water flows into the rivers, and also the snow in the hills. The snow melts and also it flows down as rivers from the hills. So that is what this picture is showing. Now let's look at the questions and we have to answer that orally. Look at the first question. What do you learn from this diagram? So what do you learn? Rain is a major source of water, and when it rains, the water flows into rivers and is collected here. And the second question is, how is a river formed? So how is a river formed? When it rains, the water flows from the hills and also the snow melts from the hills and flows down as rivers. Third question, where do most rivers flow? So we have learned it in this chapter. Where do rivers flow? Most rivers flow into seas. So this is all about this diagram. So next we have the value-based question. So let's look at that. Water is important for life. We should not waste it. Tick the true statements. So some statements are given and we have to tick the correct statements. Let's look at the questions. The first question, plastic can be thrown into lakes and rivers. Second, we should use toys that need water to work. Third, leaking taps should be repaired at once. And the fourth, rainwater can be collected and used. So look at the sentences. Which statement is true? We have to tick those statements. The first sentence, plastic can be thrown into lakes and rivers. So should we throw plastics? No, that statement is not correct. And in the second, we should use toys that need water to work. So should we use toys that need water to work? No, we have different uses for water. So we should not use toys that need water to work. And look at the third sentence. Leaking taps should be repaired at once. Yes, we have to repair the leaking taps or else we are wasting the water. So that sentence is true and you can tick there. And look at the fourth question. Rainwater can be collected and used. Yes, that sentence is correct and you can tick it over there. Next, let's move to the activity zone. So here you can see, study the pictures, color the circles red for pictures that show water is being wasted. So here you can see some pictures are given and what you have to do, you have to color the circles red. You can see some circles are given here. These circles you can color in red whichever picture shows that water is being wasted. So look at the picture and do this activity accordingly. Next we have the project zone, a parent guided activity. Conduct this activity at home. Note your observations. Share it with your class. Keep a tap dripping. Place a cup below it. How much time does it take to fill the cup? Take the help of an elder to know how many cups can be filled in 1 hour. How many cups can be filled in 1 day? Do you understand now why we must repair a leaking tap? So this is a project for you to do. So you can keep your tap dripping. That is, it should be leaking a little. And what you have to do, you need to place a cup below it and you have to observe how much time does it take to fill the cup. So how much time that the cup takes to fill water, that you have to observe. And also you have to observe how many cups can be filled in 1 hour and how many cups can be filled in 1 day. So do this project with the help of your parents and then you will understand why it is important to save water and why we should repair the leaking taps. So this is a project for you to do. So now let's move on to question answers, and for this you can take your notebook for writing down the question answers. Our first question, name the sources of water. So write down the question and what are the different sources of water? You can write down the answer. Rain, rivers, lakes and wells are the main sources of water. Let's move on to a second question. What is a dam? And what is a dam? A dam is a wall built across a river to store water. Now let's write about the water cycle. In the water cycle, the first step is the evaporation. So what is evaporation? The process of liquid turning into vapor due to heat. This is evaporation. So you can write down this evaporation. And the next step is condensation. So what is condensation? The process of changing water vapor to water droplets is condensation. The next stage, precipitation. Water falls back to the ground as rain or snow. This is precipitation. And the last one, collection. The water that falls on the earth seeps into the ground. This water flows back to river and seas. So this is collection. These are the 4 steps for the water cycle. You can write down this in your notebook. You have an activity to do, that is to draw a water cycle in your notebook. So this is the activity for you in this chapter. And with this, we finish our chapter, water and its uses. Now let's move on to a worksheet, page number 77 and 78. So this is a worksheet for unit 3. So let's see the questions there. First one, mark the answers by filling the circles using a pencil. So you have to mark the circles. Let's look at the first question. Which clothes keep us warm? So which clothes keep us warm? And the options are cotton, wool and plastic. Second question, what kind of clothes will you wear in summer? And the options, woolen, thick, cotton. Third question, which of these is not a pakka house? The options are bungalow, apartment, hut. Fourth question, which of these is not used to make a hut? What are the options? Stones, cement, mud. Now let's move on to our second question. Write true or false. In this we have the first question. We need clean water to live. So write true or false. Second, river water can be stored in a dam. Third, water is used only for drinking. Fourth, we must not waste water. So look at the statements and check whether they are true or false and write here in the space provided. Let's move on to our third question. Answer the following questions. And what is the first question? Who uses tents? Second one, what are houseboats made of? Third, what is moving air called? And the fourth one, what is breeze? Fifth, does air contain living things? So you can answer these questions. Moving on to the next page, you have draw a hut and a tent. So in this space provided, you can draw a hut and a tent. So these worksheets are for you to do and consider this as a test paper. Fill the worksheets and upload it in Teams. So with this, we finish our chapter, water and its uses and the worksheets. We'll be meeting in the next class. Till then, thank you.